Oh, hello, beautiful souls. I just want to read to you a little bit of a blog post that I put together here. And this is going to be, I'm just going to read it to you, but it's going to be the first in a series that I'm putting together where I'm going to be sharing with you my personal experiences and memories as far as my galactic history and how it has led me to awakening more information. This is stuff that has been coming through for years for me, but I've been mainly putting it in my dream journals and in my own personal journals, and I haven't really shared it publicly. But because of the type of information that I share with each of you, I want to be able to share with you how I started to retrieve my memories. So I know a lot of people want to remember your starseed, you want to remember your starseed lineage, where you came from, what planets, what races, what beings, what other past lives experiences that you had, and gifts and capabilities that you may have but not remember. So the thing to hopefully be able to share with you with these different posts that I will be sharing and different videos that I will be doing is that they come usually in bits and pieces. So for the telling of the story, I will generally tell them in sequential order, but the way that the memories tend to start to be retrieved or come back to us is through feelings, through emotions, through kind of experiences that we're having, emotions that we're having that don't make sense to the moment. Like someone can say something to you and you can have an incredible reaction to it, and it will make no sense as to why you had a reaction to that in that moment. And getting to the place where you have the skills to go into the emotions as a doorway into being in the place where those original feelings even started from is how we start to first of all clear our own personal belief systems, and then we get to clear our ancestral, so like our family lineage, the stuff that we inherited from our family line, and then many of our past life memories sometimes pop up in there. But once we really clear the base kind of filters around us that come from our own personal stuff we started to attach to through our childhood, through the family of origin, our ancestral family tree, it very quickly starts to open up into other lifetime experiences, galactic memories, galactic experiences, past life experiences that can tie into other lifetime experiences. So just to know that many times our lifetimes, regardless of what planet they're in, timeline they're in, have a theme to them. And they each lead to giving us clues and bits and pieces to the bigger picture of where we're coming from. And our goal on so many levels is to get to a place of feeling where the emotion got stuck in us. So, for example, I've had lifetimes where I had really great feelings of distress and not apprehension, but just not agreeing with the situation I was in. I was going to another planet to share some information. I really wanted to impart information to another place that would actually help transform that area that was being under control from another group. And I had gotten murdered and killed on my way there. I was not allowed to reach the place and actually share the information. And I had so much emotion around having my life taken from it, not being allowed, feeling as though what I had to share was important and better than the message even that was even being shared there, because it was about reinstating divine right order in the universe. And so I had so much emotion and even kind of anger towards the being who had taken my life, as if they were taking away something that was more important than what they were doing. I want to just share that we do get a lot of righteousness sometimes in our missions that we're doing. And as I held on to that emotion, it meant that I left that physical body with all of those heightened emotions. And just to know that emotions, when they're like that in the soul field, in the Akashic field, they're very sticky, so they create a binding in how the sequencing and kind of the fractalization of our soul keeps going on. So what happens is now those bindings are within the soul field and the soul matrix. That means that no matter what, the next incarnations or soul experiences are going to have kind of that thought form in the patterns. And now that's how we get stuck with stuff, sometimes many, many lifetimes, incarnations, or even through a whole soul journey in this galactic, or in this, into the entrance of this galactic sector where we are right now. So I really want to share how these kind of get in there. And when we get into understanding them, what we really want to do is come back to a higher consciousness perspective of sensing and feeling the situation, so that we can allow ourselves to come back to the neutral witness, to realize that that lifetime was that lifetime. And whatever happened, that we want to go into the higher mind of thinking and seeing where we actually created polarity, a stickiness, a connection, entanglement, a binding to those other souls. And that's how many times we end up with many lifetimes with some of the same characters in our life, or even character signatures. So when we can then heal it on that level, now it unbinds us from the lower vibrations of whatever we're bound to. And now we can just bring back in the memories. So now we have a larger place of a database of knowing within us, higher knowledge, higher learning, more memories, more awareness of what is happening, more awareness of how things are happening here on planet Earth while we are here in this incarnation. So then we get to take each new step, new choice, and new action that we're taking from this broader perspective of understanding on a galactic level of what is happening. So it's not always just about trying to find our past life memories or galactic memories as a way to think of some place that was better than here. I know there's a vibration for that a lot. A lot of star seeds want to remember their star lineage because they want to go home. They want to get out of here. There's almost a feeling that Earth is not as special or important or as high vibrational as other places. And that is also a program that has been placed into us. We are within the body of the universe, which is a greater consciousness. This is the consciousness of which we are. We are all a part of it. This is the unified field that is us. And so it's really beautiful the more we get to a place of embracing that unification within ourselves. It's going to help us dissolve the borders that we even see on planet Earth between countries, between nations, between races, so that we can realize that we truly are all one here to become a unified planetary body on a heart-based level, a consciousness-based level. Let me be clear with that. Not a New World Order level. I mean on a heart-based consciousness level. We see each other at that namaste level. You know, I see you and you see me. So I wanted to share this with you because this is just something that I have been guided to do, and I'm very happy to get to share this, and I'm looking forward to hearing your experiences as well. So hopefully this may in some way help you trigger some of your memories. So hello, beautiful souls. This is going to be the first in a series where I'll be speaking on different races, beings, and our galactic history. I want to share with you not only my personal memories, but also resources about some of our neighboring star constellations. So I'm going to start with the beginning for all of us. I want to start with the Lyra constellation, the place of our original seeding of the human form of our angelic human race. So this is my personal story, my personal memories of Lyra. I started getting some of my memories back through feelings I was having. These feelings ranged from panic to self-guilt to anger and a fear of feeling like I could not be trusted to take the lead or make the final decision for anything. These memories did not come back to me in sequential order, but for the telling of the story, I'm going to tell it in order. Just as a side note, it generally takes a dedication to clear the ancestral and lower chakra karma and debt before the galactic history or karma starts to come through. So I was standing on a pathway, talking with one of the others. The atmosphere and the surrounding area was gorgeous. The colors there had a lighter hue to them, almost like crystalline light and pastels. Everything was so much lighter, so alive, as if there was an awareness in everything. Therefore, there was a respect for everything, even the path I was standing on. Everything had consciousness. Everything was alive. There was a scholarly feel to the conversation I was having. It felt as if everyone has a level of concentration or awareness on evolving, expanding, and growing. So there's always an energy as far as dedication to expanding one's consciousness, learning more, evolving, but at a level far more aware to energies that are not detectable on Earth, at least not in the human consciousness at this time. I knew that I would visit the different buildings around the area. So there in this path area where I was standing, it was as if there was nature all around me. And the path didn't feel like it was man-made construction like material. It felt very much almost crystalline or alive, as if it had a consciousness, but yet a distinction that it was a path. And along this path would be what we might consider grass, but it was also far more light and bright and alive, almost as if you could transparently see through it in a crystalline kind of way. And it felt almost as if gentle rolling hills and moving, and out in the landscape was dome-like buildings. These buildings seemed very much in harmony with the land, almost as if they were there, but they were a part of the land. And very much buildings that you would go into to collaborate inside of with others, to join others with them. So I knew I would visit these different buildings. As I saw them, they felt very familiar, like I went into them very often. And each one was constructed in such a way that it seemed to blend with the land and at the same time was alive. Again, everything felt so alive. Inside some of the buildings, I would meet with the others. Many who were not in physical form, though. So it was very clear that we would consult and work with beings that resided in higher levels of consciousness. So on Earth here, we would think of that as dimensions, beings that lived in higher vibrational dimensions. But there, it really just felt casual, as if we were just communicating with other beings who were just not interested in lowering themselves down into a level of being in a physical form, almost as if they were highly evolved. So we respected them very much. We communicated with them, we consulted with them, we respected them. They were like elders in that sense of just beings that everything we did, it was as if we did it in a collaboration and in a unison with communication with them. We didn't make any choices without first really seeing how everything would play out on a grander scale across the entire cosmos. So the best way I can describe how they kind of saw having a physical body would be like, for the higher conscious beings, would be like a novelty, something just to experience. So stepping down and being in a physical form wasn't a requirement. It was more something that you would be like, ooh, I want to try that. I want to see what that's like. I want to feel what that's like. So at that particular time in this place, I obviously was in a physical form, but it was very casual to just interact with beings who were of higher evolution and consciousness, who just weren't interested in having that. They were just working on greater and grander things. And so we were working on things as well, but in collaboration with them. These crystal domes had a feel to them that they were very much amplifying the frequencies and the field that we were in. So it's not that we couldn't communicate with these higher consciousness beings walking around, say, outside and on the pathways, but going into the domes, it kind of created a space that created almost like a chamber that all of us were almost on a same dimensional field. So it was very easy to connect, hear, just really, it amplified our field to the place where we basically, there was no distinction between the levels of where we were and they were, is the best way I can describe it. So we were in the experience, yet at the same time did not feel separate from them. I had a distinct knowing that I worked with them very closely, and we were incredibly aware of the subtle breaths and nuances of the body of the universe around us, as if we were feeling it, loving it, knowing it, touching it, and an entire experience of hearing all the sounds, the songs, the vibrations. We worked with these sounds and mimicked and created with them. But there was no spontaneous or impulsive creations at all. Everything was a joint collaborative creation with us and the higher consciousness beings. So there was such a subtle awareness to every vibration in the universe, the vibrations of stars, almost as if we were so aware of all of the vibrations that if we were to put a star somewhere, we would really contemplate and look at every future ripple that would happen if we placed a star in a particular place. How would it affect every other ripple and every other ripple on so many multidimensional levels? So it felt very much like every decision we made had a long-lasting or ripple of effects on many other things. Because of this, we took great care in going through all the possible outcomes before we agreed on actions. It was as if each decision was on the level of planning universal or planetary architecture. I know we did not speak words so much as shared really fast telepathic or joint consciousness, basically like almost linked consciousness and communication. So it was very much like the consciousness and thoughts moved so fast. But physically, our bodies didn't seem to move very fast. It was almost kind of like, in comparison to the thinking, it kind of seemed like we just kind of moved in a much slower kind of pace when we walked, and almost like was a hover walk. I'm sure I could share so much more about this world, and I may elaborate more in a video, which I'm doing right now, so I don't make this post too long. But one of my most vivid memories is of standing outdoors on the path. And I was one of the beings that was interacting with the new race. So this was one of the very first memories that started to come back to me. And I was standing on this path, and it was not uncommon for other planetary beings, so other races, we definitely, from that particular moment in my memory, there was very much an awareness to an interaction with other beings, other planetary systems that we were very much connected with, that felt like family, that felt as though there was maybe within the constellation, that there was very much connection with each other. At this particular juncture and point. And so it wasn't, it just didn't feel odd to have a new species there standing with me, but this one was different. This was definitely a reptilian or a draconian. And I get the feeling that in that moment, there was an awareness to this race, that we had never met them, but here they were. So there was a level of curiosity. There was a level of ambassadorship, that the way we operated was at such a high consciousness level that there was no concept to malady or to deception or to anything like that. So there was a sense of common respect of, well, I will generally take the time to get to meet you, to know you, to potentially make a new acquaintance, right? So to connect with somebody else in the universe. these beings, I remember it didn't take long to realize that they didn't have certain levels of empathy or compassion activated within their form. So this started to be very confusing, and this wasn't just me. There was multiple others who were on this welcoming committee, if you will, that were first the initial people, kind of the ones meeting with these first beings. And I really get the impression when I remember and I go into the memories that they didn't come down as a whole swarm. It was really 1, 2, 3, very few that originally kind of came as far as almost like a scout to check out the place, to meet us, to see what level of development we were at. And we were assessing each other from our perspective on a conscious level. They were assessing us on perspective of what level of threat were we. But it took a while for us, or for me in that moment, to get that. So these beings, I was one of the beings that was interacting with this new race that was visiting our planet, and they were reptilian beings, and they were very curious about our place, our race, and our resources specifically. Just as a perspective, we were very compassionate, high vibrational beings, so the idea of deception or manipulation, let alone violence, was not even a thought in our mind at that time. These talks progressed to a place that we soon realized on multiple levels that we were in a dire situation with the visitors. Our curiosity soon changed to knowing we were not in a good situation with this race. They were violent and had resources of destruction that far outweighed anything we had. Our focus had never been on war. Our focus was always on creating in harmony and with consciousness of the prime creator, the essence of the universe. So as this kind of progressed, and we really started as a race to realize that this was something we were on alert. This was, now we were in a situation of actually starting to feel apprehension, feel worry, feel like, oh my goodness, like, what do we do here? I, being one of the few who had been the initial beings greeting them, I personally began to feel responsible. I personally felt as if I had let my people down. That because of me being one of the ones interacting with them as a first contact greeter, I felt I should have caught it quicker, or known about them, or known who these beings were. I personally started to create a belief that the entire future destruction of our planet, but the destruction of our planet was my fault. So I was riddled with guilt. I was riddled with self-sabotage, putting myself down, creating it that anything and everything that did go wrong was my fault. So this was part of that sticky emotion that has been replaying within my soul field for a very, very long time, that helped me to actually grab some of these memories. There was no way in that moment that we were ever going to agree to what they were asking for. They basically wanted to infiltrate our system, to create it so now that they were monitoring us. They basically were forcing their way in because they wanted resources on our planet. There was crystals, basically the way the planet was very crystalline in nature and high vibrational, but there was actually resources within the planet, on the planet, or that were available there that they wanted, and they just liked it. We were very it was beautiful, there was abundance, it was an incredible, beautiful home. And they wanted it. They wanted it. So what they wanted was that basically they wanted to initially create kind of like a treaty or a trade, as far as that would give them dominance over us, that they would be kind of in charge of us through sharing certain things with us, technologies and weaponry and things like that, in exchange for resources, and also to have kind of dominion and control over the planet. So it was as if, well, we'll share this with you, but we're going to be overseers of you to make sure that you use it correctly, and then you will actually be our allies working for us kind of energy. If I could just give you the vibration behind it. But there was no way we would ever agree to what they were asking for. They liked our planet, our resources, and had a desire to even get into a position of monitoring or even dictating over our people. And we could not agree. We lived in harmony with the all. There was nothing, not even a spark in us, that would dishonor or violate our mother creation. So there was a huge retaliation and reaction from this egoic race. They stormed off, and there was a definitely feeling in us that, they were gone, but we knew that it was not over. And this was the beginning of the end. My next memories that I really had from that was looking out a window of a huge ship. This was a very distinct and emotional memory for me, and it still brings up a lot of emotion. Yeah, so just give me a minute. We were looking out the window. It was a massive, massive ship. Many, many, many of our people were on it. And there was these huge windows, and you could look out, and we were in the atmosphere over the planet. And as you looked at the planet, wow, I've cleared so much around this. There's still so much emotion. It was just pure destruction. It was just fire and explosions and destruction. And as we were flying away, I just remember all of the emotion. There was so much sadness, so much fear, shock, so much pain. That in that moment, there was a emotional virus that birthed in every single one of us. That in that moment, we went from being a high vibrational conscious race of beings to refugees, to homeless people, to feeling lost, detached. There was just every gamut that you could think of, and in that moment, the virus of these emotions implanted within us, within our soul fields. And I think this is a wound that so many of us hold, as we are here now, dealing with this here on Earth. Some of us have felt helpless on this planet for a long time, as if, what can we do? Because it was a very helpless situation. They were very much, the Draconian race was very much in a position of domination as far as war and technology and the ability to completely annihilate and destroy us at that time. So again, we come from such heart and compassion, and to think of using violence as a means to destroy another is still inconceivable to me personally. So, as all of it got distracted, I do distinctly remember the beautiful dome buildings, those crystalline dome buildings being destroyed. And it was as if that started to create a barrier between us. That in that moment, it was as if all of those higher vibrational beings that we used to collaborate with and create on a universal scale with, as if there was kind of like a schism between us now. It was as if that communication was not just openly accessible like it used to be. Something in us lowered. Our DNA changed in that moment. Our history changed. Our whole relationship with creation. We felt split up as a race, as a family, and even though we had been already traveling and aware of other places in the universe, now it was as if home, there was just, with home being gone, I know you feel it in your heart. If you're even listening to this at all, I know you know. So, there's just something that's like a hole in your heart when your entire home is destroyed in that way. And this is that deep seated wound that really started to open up for me. I had to go back and do a lot of clearing. I had to realize that it was us, it was we, you know. I couldn't make innocence wrong, or as a feeling of helpless, to not feeling as though we could stand up, take the lead, make decisions now. So all of the things that had come up as far as lower vibrations that I felt within myself that helped me remember these memories and retrieve this life experience has been places I've been able to restore and heal myself and restore connection and restore our strength and our capability to be the pillars of light that we are here to be. And how that path will turn out, you know, we are all living it right now. This has been a really long experience for a lot of us, you know, because this is just, you know, this was the Lyran Wars. The Lyran Wars, you know, we've been through many different places from here, you know, and I will from here get to share some of the planetary places that we went. Many of us went to Lyra, many of us went to I will go into some of the other places that we have gone. But in those kind of travels, and as our races have intermingled, as new races have been created, just like we've done here on Earth, there's so many of us that have many mixed races right inside of our physical form. So we hold a lot of different lineages inside of us. There's a lot of hybrid or blended races. Since we left Lyra, we have blended, we have had new created species, and we have evolved, and we have been on a path of restoring a lot of this imbalance that has happened. And as we've made our way through, even through the electric wars and to these, you know, planetary wars that are currently happening right over planet Earth, you know, I hope for us to all remember these memories so that we can heal these places of wounds and pains within ourselves, so that we can allow ourselves to now stand up. Now we know. We have our memories back. So now, you know, that level of innocence and not knowing isn't there anymore. Now we know. We know what we're dealing with. We know who we are retrieving our power back from. We know who we are standing up for our truth from, and who we are standing up to say no to. And now we have different resources. We've gotten stronger, we've gotten smarter, we've gotten to a place that we understand the polarity of this universe. We understand the high vibration just as much as the low vibration, and in this we can start to bring that polarity balance back into point within ourselves, so that we can stand up back from Mother Creation. And so this is where we are creating what we want to create brand new. And I ask each of you, you know, keep your vision so strong on how we want this universe to be. How do we want it to be? There's some that want to choose, you know, being in physical bodies, and some of us that will want to choose, you know, maybe not being in physical bodies. It doesn't matter, but we should have the choice to be back in that full communion and connection with all of our soul family levels, all of the sentient beings and conscious levels of beings in the universe, and back in the unified field of Mother. So I just want to say thank you so much for letting me share this with you. It's a lot more emotional than I thought it was going to be, sharing it in this way. But I am posting below this video the link for the full blog post. So it has my account of the story on there in brief, as I just shared to you. And underneath that, I have shared many, many resources that others have shared across the web on Lyrans and their traits and their characteristics and some of our history and what dimensions we used to reside on and what planets we've traveled to. So I have star maps on there and everything like that if you want to look at it and just let your memories start to come back to you on your personal journey. So thank you so much for letting me share this with you. I love you so, so much, and I'll be putting one of the next ones up very soon. Thank you.